And we are live. Good morning, South Florida. Hello, world. I am Robert Henderson Jr. I am the founder, the president, the CEO of the Henderson Financial Group located here in Miami Lakes, Florida. We've been in business over 30 years, got clients all over the country and out of the country. We love what we do here. We bring the future. We bring the future right here into your presence. What are you going to do? What are you doing right now? Because today is your future. And joining me live here is my brother from another mother, the one and only, the living legend.
Where is he? Where is he?
Where is
he? He owes me. He owes me money. Where is he, Rob? Because he owes me. Good morning, man. I'm doing great. I've been on a whirlwind tour, but it's been much fun. I was helping out a friend, working with a friend. We were broadcasting live from Universal Studios in Orlando the past couple of days. So, hey, with all that we've been doing, and it's not just what you do on the air, Rob. It's all the stuff that you do in between, covering parades, covering this, covering that. So my voice is a little cracky, but hey, man, I'm just glad to be back home and here today because I really do believe, as I shared with people in Orlando, what we were doing. And Rob, when I shared what we were doing, guess what they said?
What did they say, James?
How can we help? Woo, Rob, come on. Rob, people, and some people have missed that, but it's the blessings, man. It is true. I mean, when you can find someone that is saying, wow, we think that's great what you're doing now. Tell us how we can help.
That is good stuff.
That's a good move. So brother, all based on you and your staff and all that you're doing at the Henderson Financial Group and what we've been able to do to calm people during a storm and let them know, Rob, that what they see is not all there is to be seen, and how reacting to what you see puts you with that 95 to 99% of people. But those 1%ers, they bank on you reacting to what you see rather than what is.
Yeah, man, I mean, just wrapping up the whole current week that just took place, boy, I tell you, in America, and there goes the world, it's a lot of drama, a lot of volatility has been taking place. I'll tell you one thing, what has been affected and ended the day yesterday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up over 400 points. At one point, it was over 500, man, I tell you. And that's because of the jobs reports, I think, like I always say, man, it's going to be okay. Oftentimes as you mature and as you grow and as you learn and this thing called vision, being able to see things before they actually appear. And just because it doesn't look like it, just because it looked like that or look like this, it's all the time is that. And really, that's why I always say, people ask me, how do I keep my eyes on the prize, and how do I stay, in the fight, and I don't get, like depressed or down and out, because I know it's not over. And I know that good, and I know who controls everything. I really, really do. And I do know that trouble don't always last. A lot of times when someone is trying to dig a hole for you, they need to be digging one for themselves also. Because if you just stay the course, tend to your business, stay focused. And when I say tend to your business, I mean really tend to your business, because each and every one of us, me, myself, and I, we have a lot of work to do. And we just work on ourselves, all of our weaknesses, and our strengths, and do what we need to do and become masters of ourselves. We don't really have time for a lot of the riffraff that's out there in the street. You know what I mean? I mean, because they're always trying to get your attention, and the system is always trying to throw you off your game. You have to be focused, and you got to have a vision. You got to say, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. And not for somebody else, for yourself. Because you ask people, what are your goals? Most people don't have goals. Most people just want to exist. And merely existing is not your true calling, just to exist. Ooh. It really isn't. It's not what you put here for, just to exist and just to be. You know what I mean? No, it's not, man. Or you can just look at nature and just understand nature. Man, you'll be surprised, man. I was just thinking about when I just said nature. I was telling Natalie just the world of bees. If you studied the world of bees, you would be astounded. If you study the world of the whole world of ants and how smart they are, and birds and how smart they are, you would be, I mean, blown away. And if you studied yourself,
Oh,
goodness gracious.
Rob, how do we handle it? Ooh, I got to share this, Rob. I had a quick meeting before I took my trip, right? And I was meeting with an exec here in the city of Delray. And before the meeting, I even told him, I said, we are not opposed to anything. We're not going into the ring. I said, let's make the theme of the meeting, how can we handle this? All of a sudden, Rob, when you ask that question, how can we handle it? Guess what? We become partners. We become a
Right.
team. We become a
Best
team.
way. Yes.
Different perspective.
Join
Totally
together.
different perspective. Oh, come on. Because, Rob, when we
That's
say
nature.
how can we handle it, it's not I win, you lose, or you win, I lose. It's we winning. We win together or we lose together. So we don't want to lose together because, hey, in our strength, we win. We
Yeah.
win.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom. That is the beginning of wisdom, James. When you can get somebody to understand that the strength in numbers.
Yes,
It's
sir.
wisdom. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
We you know, I was looking at, like I said, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, man, is up. You know, we're gonna have a volatile year because we have an administration that's kind of unsettling right now. You know, it's wishy-washy. They want to do one thing and then they do another. And they say they want to cut back, you know, a lot of unnecessary spending, but then we got this big, beautiful bill. There's a whole lot of spending. So we got infighting and conflict that's going on. And with that, it's a lot of uncertainties. Businesses and owners don't know exactly which way to plan and how to structure for the end of the year. They don't know how much to buy with these tariffs, how much things going to cost. So right now it's a little bit of unsettling. But I tell you one thing, this too shall pass. this too this too shall pass. So don't lose your stuff, man. Just watch this because it's better than HBO. You know, matter of fact, we're gonna try telling you today. We're gonna talk to a young man who I've been knowing for over 30 years, and he's helped both of us. And he really good at what he do. He knows his craft backwards and forward, like this hand. Man, this guy's like really engaged. You know, a lot of people are not engaged of what they're doing in terms of their craft. They're just going through the circle. You know what I mean? They just getting paid, waiting for Friday, but they really don't understand. What I mean by that, oftentimes, I would say 95% of people, metaphorically speaking, they just look at themselves as a thread on a sweater, but they don't know that they're a part of a sweater. They just know they're a thread, and there's a thread next to them. They don't really know totally when they look at it themselves in mass, their sweater. They don't know. So a lot of people that work, whatever job, whatever industry they're in, they just doing it so they can get paid, but they don't understand the big picture, the significance of it. What does it really mean to mankind, services, how important it is, you know? But this guy right here, but I tell you, Kevin Cooper, he got into this industry. I'm gonna ask him how long it's been because I know he helped me, 20 years ago. So I don't know how long it's been. That he's been in this craft, but he knows this stuff backwards and forwards. He knows how it works. He knows how the system works, and he'll basically tell you. He's not a yes man or no man. He actually tell you exactly how things happen, how things go, how the system is going to go. If you got a claim, if you got how insurance works, and that's what I like about him. He breaks it down to you like a 6-year-old because he really understands this stuff. I mean, he's engaged. He knows. You know what I mean? What do you think, James?
Rob, not only has he helped us, you and I mean, every time I've had people call me multiple times after he's helped them because I recommended him. I mean, so whenever there's a problem, whenever there's a storm, whenever there's a need, whenever there's a question, see, even with the question, Rob, it doesn't always mean that, and I was talking with him earlier, and I said, one of the things that we need to do with people is to do what we were talking about last week, planning and preparing. Because if you wait until something happens to plan and prepare, you're too late. But
that's
if
not
you
planning.
plan,
that's reaction.
Of course.
That's reacting.
So, but if you plan and prepare beforehand, my thing is, hey man, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So I think it's time for us to bring him in.
All right, we're talking about claims now. We're talking about money. I'd have that song come in. Let's bring in my friend, our friend, Mr. Kevin Cooper. Mr. Cooper, how you doing, my brother?
I'm great. Good morning, James. Good morning, Robert. Pleasure to see you both. I hope you both are having a wonderful morning. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And as you both know, whatever you guys wish for me, I wish y'all double. So it's going to be a great year for all of us.
It is. Regardless as to what's happening around us, it's going to be a great year. Because, Rob, here's a metaphor. Guess what? There are people out there that are winning and earning even in catastrophes.
That's right.
Am I right, Mr. Cooper?
Absolutely. It depends on how you assess it. And if you look at the glasses being half empty or half full, our glass is always half full. It's coming up.
Come on.
Hey, Mr. Cooper, how long, first of all, we were just talking, how many years have you been in the industry that you're in, honing your craft? How long has it been?
I started in 2000 working for a public adjuster. My first hurricane was Hurricane Charlie back in Fort Myers and Captiva and Sanibel. That was in 2003, 2004. So I've been in the industry for 25 years, and I've seen insurance companies do a good job. I've seen them do a bad job. I've seen them treat people great, and I've seen them treat people very unfairly. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's a huge task to file a claim, to be compensated for that claim, and to get what you're entitled from that claim. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone will be doing it. But yes, I've been in the business for 25 years, and I've seen a lot of things happen in the insurance.
A lot of change. You've seen a lot of change. You've seen things that you could get, you can't get anymore. You've seen laws have changed. Now, over those 25 years, have you seen, since the industry of property and casualty and compensation insurance, homeowners insurance, over those 25 years, if you had to assess, would you say that it is getting better for the insurance companies, advantageous wise, or is it getting better for the homeowner? What would you, if you had to surmise?
The insurance company is always winning. They're the cash cow. All they do is collect premiums. They don't do any work. They're not building the house, fixing the house, cutting down trees, building the roads. All they do is collect premiums annually. And that's one of the major industries in this country: insurance, pharmaceuticals, real estate. Those things never lose. All they do is win. And the more they win, the more they write laws to win even bigger. So the homeowner never wins. Back when I started, insurance adjusters used to come out with a checkbook and they could settle a claim on the spot. And I could negotiate with them and say, well, can the homeowner live with this? The homeowner says, yes, I can. They would write a check. Those days over it. Now there's so many stairs and steps to get to the point where you could settle the claim. It could take months. It could take years. So the insurance company is not in a hurry to give you something you're entitled. They don't have to give you what you're owed. All they have to do is make an offer. And sometimes that offer is, it's not covered, it's long-term, seepage, wear and tear, neglect. The damages don't exceed the deductible. The reason they do that is because they can. They don't need an excuse not to pay you. They could just say, we don't want to. And if they can keep those premiums, they'll do that.
So let me ask you a question.
Rob, before we ask him another question, because I know that there are people out there, Rob, that don't even know that a public adjuster exists. Rob, I'm serious. There are people that we've spoken with, Mr. Cooper can tell you. They, public adjuster, what do you mean? Tell our viewers today, tomorrow, whenever they check it out, what's the position of a public adjuster such as yourself?
As a licensed public adjuster, I'm licensed by the state of Florida. I can negotiate insurance claims for homeowners in the state of Florida. There are some that are licensed in many states, but I work in the state of Florida. So when that homeowner calls the insurance company and says something's broke, something's leaking, something's on fire, that insurance company will sit down an independent adjuster or their own adjuster that works for State Farm Citizens. And that person is going to come out and assess the damages, and they're going to want you to pay a deductible, or they really want to minimize your claim if they can. They just want to pay you enough to make you feel like you're whole. As a public adjuster, you don't have to accept that offer that they give you. They could say it's 50, it could be 150. They could say they could just replace some baseboards and some carpet, or you may need to have a new kitchen put in. But as a public adjuster, I can negotiate insurance claims on the insurance behalf, on the homeowner's behalf. So you're getting a second opinion and not just believing that the insurance company, they're not always giving you a piece of the rock. Sometimes they're hitting you in the head with that rock. So unfortunately, it's a business. And if you do the research and you find out what you're really entitled, typically you can get a lot more if you go down the right lines to make sure you get what you're entitled. So I would recommend every homeowner to hire a public adjuster and not just take the insurance company's word for it.
And it doesn't have to be hurricane damage. This is another thing, Rob, that people don't understand about having a public adjuster. It could be an accident in the home. It could be fire. It could be water. You know, I mean, because I've interviewed and we hosted an event with Mr. Cooper years back when I was doing talk radio. You know, we filled the room, Rob, and had people standing around the walls that had no idea about a public adjuster, that someone to represent them, because they would think, well, if it's really bad, maybe I need a lawyer. But the lawyer probably has to now get a public adjuster because he doesn't know the laws of the insurance company. So it's important that we share with our friends and our people. You know, you could come home and a water pipe is burst. Boom, we've had water damage. Mr. Cooper would say, like he said, they may put a floorboard, do the carpet, and that's it. But what's behind the wall?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I remember, Mr. Cooper, when you got into the business, and when you started explaining to me the game of insurance, claims, adjuster. Before that, I hadn't even knew what an adjuster did. I had never even heard about adjuster. And I remember once I remember calling James T. And I remember that's when we put on a workshop. And like James T said, man, the room was packed. I mean, it was full of people didn't know. So I want to start and I want to ask you some elementary questions, and then we're going to feed up and grow upon it, okay? Because some of the people here that's listening to us, I don't want them to start in the middle of the movie. I want them to understand, first of all, the concept in this whole game called adjusting. Now, insurance companies, when it comes to owning a home, it's something you pay an insurance company. When you pay an insurance company and you have homeowners insurance, it's natural for you to think they're your friends and y'all partners, because they're providing you with protection, and you're paying them for that protection. So you feel that there is a bond, there's a love, y'all in this together, you know? But if something happens, we do know there's a claim, because you're claiming that your pipe leak or, you know, your roof leak or something happened. And then all of a sudden they tell you they have to send out an adjuster. Now I know when I grew that an adjuster is someone that comes from the insurance company to adjust, to validate, to see exactly what is the damage and put a value on repairing that damage. But let me tell you something, you know, we're talking about homeowners insurance, but just the whole world of adjusting, the same concept in a whole nother field, in a whole nother area, but still dealing with insurance. It happens also with auto. If you're driving and you get into an accident, you call the insurance company, they send out an adjuster. But it's not a homeowner's adjuster, but it's an adjuster. That adjuster is going to assess the damages on your car. I don't know why it seems like lately they just total. But they just total. I mean, you could have a scratch and then they get car total, and they give you a little bit of nothing. But that there too is an adjuster. a lot of people, black, white, especially, I mean, I can't speak for black, white people, but I've been black all my life. And I mean, that's why I'm around a lot. A lot of black people never heard of adjuster. I didn't even know that there was a career of being an insurance adjuster 25 years ago. And because most of us, a lot of the kids go to school to be a lawyer, doctor, correction officer, a mailman, or post office, or, working for the government. No one said, hey, here's a life. This is what an adjuster does. So whether it's an auto insurance adjuster or it is a homeowner's insurance adjuster, you either work for the insurance company or you work against the insurance company for the homeowners, correct?
Correct.
But those two adjusters, it's like having an attorney. You got a defense attorney defending you, and you got a prosecutor that's trying to have your head. Then you got two opposing counselors. When it comes to claims, insurance companies, they all have their own personal business company adjusters, whether it's coming out for, whether you got a car accident, they're going to come and say, okay, this car is worth, this is what we'll give you. Or if it's a home, that adjuster's coming out and said, this is what we'll give you. But you, my friend, you're a defender. You represent the homeowner. You don't do auto adjusting, right?
No.
You in the same field, you represent homeowners against insurance companies, because homeowners, we're naturally thinking that when we pay State Farm, Allstate, they're our friends because we paying them every on time. But that's not the case. You educated me and James 25 years ago and brought us to light. I want you to help our audience right there understand what's really happening and take the shade off our eyes to see clear what's really happening and why is it happening. And then we'll go forward. How about that?
You got it. Insurance is a business. That's the bottom line. Every business is created to make money. There's a profit margin. Everyone wants to be profitable. An insurance company is not profitable if they're paying out claims. That's not their goal. Their goal is to make the money, keep the money, invest the money. The CEO gets a golden parachute and they become wealthy on the insurance back. Every homeowner, when they buy property or they have a home, should have someone to look at their insurance policy. Look at the deck page. You should know what the regular deductible is. It's called all perils. And then you got a hurricane deductible, which is 2%. The hurricane deductible is 2% of the policy. That deductible could be $15,000, $50,000. And then you got all other perils where the deductible could be $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,500. Insurance companies, if they could, they would have the homeowner to pay the other perils deductible, but they shouldn't make you pay that. If they owe you $50,000, the deductible is $2,500, they should give you $47,500. But if they could make you pay it, if they could get you to pay it, they will. Also, there are a couple other insurance companies, Citizens One, where they have a right to repair, the managed repair program. So if it's anything besides a water loss, there's two options. They want to give you a check for $10,000 if your house has an inch of water or a foot of water. And if you're desperate enough to take the $10,000, they'll be happy to give it to you. Or they'll say, it's a $50,000 claim, but we're not going to give you $50,000. We're going to give you a contractor. Here, he'll do the repairs. So you could pick one of our contractors. That only happens with a water loss. If it's a fire, if it's a hurricane, if a vehicle hits your house, if anything else happens, then they'll give you the money. But that's one exception with the water loss. So you want to make sure that you get someone to assess the damages that say, hey, $10,000 is not sufficient. You need a new kitchen. You need new tiles. You need new baseboard. The house has to be packed out. You got to move all the furniture. You need a pod. There's four major parts of your policy. Dwelling is the building. Personal property is the contents. And it's called ALE, additional living expenses, or loss of use. That's money that you're entitled to get while your home is being repaired. So it may be $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 that you could go rent a condo, rent a house, rent an Airbnb while your home is being repaired. So you're entitled to that. The last part is called coverage D, which is other structures. That's fencing, shed, patio equipment, mailboxes. And if you don't know what's in the policy, your screen enclosure may cover the screening but not the aluminum framing. So you want to make sure that you're covered before you file a claim. Like you said earlier, you really want to get someone to look at the policy, see what you're entitled before you get in the process of them coming out and saying you're not covered or you are. But in a nutshell, I would advise every homeowner to get a second opinion, to get a public adjuster, to take a look at the policy before. Like right now, Hurricane Susan started on June 1st. We don't wait till there's a named storm to start preparing for that. You want to know what you're entitled before that storm even shows up.
So you review policies?
Yes.
Homeowners free of charge, you review them?
Free of charge. The homeowner could email me their policy. I'll review it, take a look at it. And sometimes they don't have enough coverage for their personal property or their contents. Sometimes they may have $50,000 worth of contents and they got $150,000 worth of clothes, furniture, appliances. But whatever that policy says you're going to get for personal property, that's all you're going to get. So maybe you have a coin collection. Maybe you have a Rolex watch collection. Maybe you need to up that personal property just in case there's a fire, there's a theft, there's vandalism. But yes, we do look at homeowners' policies when they purchase the home. When they first get the policy from State Farm, Universal, Citizens, whoever it is, you want to make sure that you know what you're buying.
Mr. Cooper, how difficult is it to have a policy and to upgrade that policy after getting it?
It's as simple as knowing what you're entitled, calling your agent and says, I don't have enough coverage for coverage A, B, C, or D. And it's affordable to up that coverage a few $1,000s. It's not going to make or break it. You may think from what they tell you that, oh, you don't want to do that. But sometimes you do want to do that. You want to up the personal property sometimes. You want to up the dwelling. If your home is appraised for $500,000 or $1 million and you're covered for $250,000, then all they're going to pay is policy limits. They're going to pay that. But if it costs $500,000 to build that home back and your coverages are only for $250,000, then you're going to be stuck if you have a total loss, if you have a fire that ruins your home. So it's as easy as calling the agent and negotiating what you're entitled and how much more it will cost every month or annually to give you the type of coverage you need. It's not hard at all.
That's one thing Mr. Henderson talks about when we've been talking about is that planning and preparing. So just as we go to get annual checkups, we should probably, because as they build around us, and this is what is particularly happening in the quote unquote urban communities, I'll put it that way, or the hood, whichever one. You know, all of a sudden a house comes in and they remodel, or usually venture capitalists come into a community. They buy a lot. They know what highest and best use is all about. They make that property 2 or 3 stories. Now they turn around and sell, quote unquote, these venture capitalists. And guess what happened? The value of your property now goes up. You still think you got that $200,000, $100,000 house, but they sold it for $800,000. Okay, in right across the street from you, and all of a sudden now, when there's damage to cover, you don't have enough, and your taxes are increased. So we one of the things that when we said that we were going to invite you on was to make our people aware that don't just sit by, because most people have insurance and have never had it checked. So you can imagine if you got insurance that you, whatever the state says that you need, and you want to get minimum, and all of a sudden, hey, we get hit. We've been getting hit throughout the area recently with hail. As a matter of fact, I've been here for whatever number of years, and I have never seen hail the size of hail that I've seen in the past few weeks. That's happened in not all over South Florida, but in many of the areas. So would you suggest everyone needing to take a look and examine their policy, and then to call someone like yourself to have them say, here, where do you live? What's the value of the property that you live in? And quote unquote, what about the assets in the home? Would you suggest that they do that, quote unquote, maybe annually or by, every 2 or 3 years or whatever?
I would not only suggest that, but if a property has been hit by a hailstorm, I advise that homeowner should get their roof checked. Because if a roof is under 5 years old, that roof has a lot more integrity than a roof that's over 20 years old. So that 20-year-old roof may have been compromised by the hailstorm. So you would want to, that's a claim you could file. Some people have a hailstorm and they could get a new roof behind it. They're just not aware of it. So if you have a roof that's 15, 30 years old, if you just call the insurance company and say, my roof is leaking, and that has not been a hailstorm and has not have been a hurricane, no tornadoes, then the insurance company is going to consider that a maintenance issue. They're going to say, well, James, Robert, your roof is 25, 30 years old. You just need a new roof. We're not going to just buy you a new roof because it's old. We're not just going to buy you a new kitchen because your wife wants one. It has to have something to damage it, a cause. You need a date and a time. So a hailstorm can damage a roof, and a homeowner should get that assessed because it's hurricane season now. So even if the roof doesn't appear that it's leaking today, it may leak next week or 2 weeks. So you want to get that assessed. You want to look at that roof to make sure it has not been compromised, because if it has been compromised, then we get a category 1 or 2 hurricane. Your roof's already been compromised. Now it's going to be easier to be damaged from the hailstorm. So yes, I would recommend that homeowners get their policies checked annually. Whenever you get a renewal, you want to make sure that they've not given you any more or less coverage that you're entitled. Every insurance company wants to give the homeowner the highest. They want to charge you with the highest deductibles. They want to hit you with the largest, whatever you need to pay, they want you to pay that. But they want to take as less responsibility and liability as possible. So of course they want you to pay a higher premium and give you less coverage, because that's more, they got a word for this. It's called capitalism in this country. When people take advantage of, when wealthy companies take advantage of consumers, they call it capitalism. Now we can't do that. But
let me ask you a question, Mr. Cooper. Since you've been in this business for over 25 years, I can only imagine you've seen a lot. And you have a lot of experience. 25 years working this thing every day, 7 days a week. You've seen a lot. And the simple fact that most people here watching and listening to you, most of us haven't compared our insurance policies with each other to see what you got and what your insurance company get. We don't do that. It's something private. We know when we get our insurance policies in terms of our home insurance policy, we just get it and we cover it. But we don't really know if we get in the shaft and they should have gave us something. You're right. We don't know. So over the 25 years, have you witnessed or seen any type of discriminatory practices that you have seen that we're not aware of?
In the insurance industry, they have a law that's called bad faith. Bad faith is when an insurance company, when you could prove that they intentionally denied your claim, didn't pay you something that they should have paid you. And it could be for any reason, because you're black, because you're old, because you live in a certain neighborhood. But once you get them for bad faith, then that could times your payout, where you could get 2 or 3 times more than what they initially offered you because of bad faith. And just like James was stating earlier, if you live in a residential area and developers come in and they start buying up properties and they build up, and instead of your home being valued at 150 or 200, now the neighborhood value has went up. So the insurance companies know that. So they want to try to keep the homeowners unaware of what's going on in the neighborhood. So there are premiums that go up every year when people pay more and more for their insurance. The taxes are going up more and more. People can't afford homes because of just the taxes and the insurance alone. So homeowners need to be aware of that. Homeowners need to do some research and make sure that they're not getting taken advantage of. The second thing, people that don't have a mortgage, they don't have to have insurance. If you own your home, the mortgage company can't put what they call a forced place policy on you. But there are people in May, April, before the hurricane season starts, they'll go out and they'll purchase homeowners insurance because they want to be covered just in case we get a hurricane. So they'll prorate it. You get it in May and you'll pay whatever the quarterly amount. But you don't have to keep that year round. After October, then you can say, hey, you know what? we didn't get a hurricane, so I'm not going to pay anymore. But you want to have that protection if you can have it. Because once there's a named storm in the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico, then the insurance company is not going to sell a homeowner hurricane insurance. They're not going to sell you insurance if there's a named storm that's coming off Africa, or if there's any type of tropical depression anywhere in the Gulf, Atlantic. They won't sell you homeowners insurance there because they're smart. They know, hey, we may have a storm coming. So no, we're not selling any policies right now. So it's best to do that before the hurricane season starts, if that's what you want to do. But once there's a named storm, you can't buy it at that point.
So let me ask another question. Miss Liddy Mae Vickers says, can a homeowner, she posted this, can a homeowner get an adjuster to come and look at a house even if a claim has been filed and paid out?
Yes, homeowners have 2 years to reopen the claim. So just because the insurance company has sent an adjuster and they've come out and they've made you an offer and they paid you whatever they said that you were entitled, that's not etched in stone. That's not the 11th commandment. There's something you don't want to call, you don't want to sign. When you call the insurance company and they come out by themselves, sometimes they want you to sign what they call a release. That means that you're accepting this is full and final payment that they're paying you. So you don't want to sign that. You can accept what they're paying you, but you don't want to sign a full and final release. That means that you accept it and this claim is dead. So even if they have come out and paid you some money, yes, you still could go and get that claim reopened and have a public adjuster come out and assess those damages. That's called the reopen. And if they get you any more money, you're not paying them for what the insurance company already paid them. You're paying them if you get new money. So if that public adjuster help you get new money from the insurance company, then you will pay them a fee. But yes, you can reopen a claim, or you can go back and get money from a claim that the insurance company has already either paid or denied. Or if it's still open, you could go back.
Yeah, but that's something important. That's something that you just said important. That's when it's because sometimes often people just be so happy, to get the $10,000 that the insurance company offer, and they'll just sign just so they can get that check. They're not aware that when they sign, they're shutting the door permanently for someone like you can't come back and reopen the case and say, man, they should have gave you 50,000. They gave you 10,000. They shortchanged you. So how do people guard against that, knowing that once you don't sign anything? I'm thinking that everybody should have a personal public adjuster on speed dial, just like you have a Mr. Fix-It man. You need to have that. It's better to have it and not have it. You know what I mean? Because most people, we all call State Farm or Allstate or whoever, Progressive or whoever we have for our homeowners insurance. But I would say most people don't know a Kevin Cooper and then the thing about it, they don't know that you represent them and they don't have to pay you whatever you receive and get them. You get what, 10%, 15%? What is it? I
don't get paid until they get paid. Work on a contingency fee.
So you like a personal injury attorney. How right. A personal injury attorney will take your case because you don't have to pay them up front, but once they settle the case, they get a percentage of it. So here, when it comes to homeowners insurance, it's good for a homeowner just to have you, on speed dial, have you in their phone contact. So if something happens, they call State Farm or they call the insurance company. And then after they come out and assess and say, this is what you have, they're supposed to call you to come and say, this is what they said, and you handle it, right?
Correct. Personal injury attorneys could take up to 33 1/3. Public adjusters don't do that. Typically, public adjusters charge between 10 and 20%. If there's a catastrophe, when there's a hurricane in the state of Florida, the state caps that at 10%. They don't want to have anyone taking advantage of any homeowners at that point. So it's 10% for hurricanes. But every homeowner should get a second opinion whenever they file an insurance claim. No homeowner should just take the insurance company word that they're providing them what they're entitled. It's just like you go to one doctor and he says, hey, we got to amputate the toe. The other doctor says, we could treat it. There's some antibiotics. We could do this or that. Or someone comes out and says, hey, you know what? Your kid can't get into this college. And someone else says, hey, let's get him a tool to work on his, see if we could get his SAT grades higher. Everything's possible. Nothing's impossible. And even though it's a tough industry, the homeowner can win but the homeowner has to do the due diligence to fight for themselves. You can't expect for someone who's in business to always give you what's best for you. There's a profit margin. They're going to do what's best for them.
But Brother Rob and Brother Cooper, I think that's the problem with many people, is they weren't aware, one, that there was a public adjuster, but most people feel as though the only time, quote unquote, that they will need someone like you is when there's devastation, tornado, storm. That they just feel like, well, if it wasn't a storm or if it wasn't a hurricane, I need to have it fixed myself. And I'm sorry that may sound, well, why would you have a policy if you do that? But I'm telling you, I'm like you said, Rob, when we did that meeting, and even since then, Mr. Cooper will tell you, I have recommended so many people that had nothing to do with a hurricane. It was just damage to the home, and there is someone that will represent you, because some people are fooled to believe when the adjuster comes out that's sent by the insurance company, they think that adjuster is working for their best interest. And he's being paid, he or she is being paid by the insurance company. So they're working under the policies and the priority of the insurance company. But when you
in fact, I remember Mr. Cooper told me, he said that if any insurance company, any insurance adjuster sent by the insurance company come to your house and give you everything you do, everything that you really do, they'll fire him.
Right. So now, Mr. Cooper, and we're going to tell Miss Lily Mae and others, we are going to have Mr. Cooper put up his information in the chat so that you can be able to reach him and give him a call. But I really do think it needs to be an awakening, because accidents happens in the home. And if you have had, or Mr. Cooper, to look at your policy, those accidents, whether it's a warp pipe burst, whatever, hey, I know the first thing you want to do is call a plumber, and that may be good. But you also want to know, wait a minute, what kind of damage do I have? And what does my policy provide? I can personally say for Mr. Cooper, I've had situations where the insurance adjuster would come out and say, thus. And like you said, my first call was him. James, go ahead and take that. We'll come take a look. Boom, boom, boom. We'll do, and we'll reassess it. And the insurance company, I don't think they get angry because I'm just one of millions that they have. But guess what? They'll say, okay, we will give you more. But they'll turn around and say, we're going to put it in the bank, and whoever the contractor is to come out to do the repairs, then you'll get those monies as they give invoices. Could you explain that, Mr. Cooper?
In some cases, the insurance companies don't want the homeowner to get the money and go on vacation. They want you to fix the home. The mortgage company has an interest in the home. So if you have a $100,000 claim, your house had a fire, flood, and we come up with a number that everyone can live with is $100,000. So the insurance company is not just going to send the homeowner a check for $100,000. They want you to hire a contractor, because the mortgage company and the insurance company are in bed together. They're friends. They know what's going on. So they want to make sure that the house is being repaired so that the homeowner doesn't sell the house as is when they've paid them $100,000 to fix the house. Then that way the mortgage company is on the hook to go repair something that should have been fixed already by the homeowner. So typically they'll give you a third. They'll give you $30,000. You do some repairs, or you get an estimate from a licensed contractor who says he could fix the house for X amount of dollars, and they'll give you a draw. But now if you don't have a mortgage and you have a home, then they have to send you the money. They can't go and say, hey, there's a mortgage company involved, but if you don't have a mortgage yet, then the insurance company will send you that check directly. But every homeowner should at least fight for every penny they're entitled. And that doesn't mean that they won't give you the money. That just means they don't want to. They'll try not to. But yeah, we can make sure that you get that money that you need to repair your home, and as soon as possible. Because when like you said, if you wait till the hurricane comes, then there's thousands of people that are filing a claim, and you got to get in line at that point. And the insurance companies sending adjusters from all over the country Texas, California, they don't know all the laws, but they just want to get paid. So they want to pay for a Band-Aid. Maybe they should have been paying for surgery, but if they could pay for a Band-Aid, they will.
But Kevin, I'm tell you something, man. We haven't been brought up. It's not our culture to the way this whole claims and insurance game work. We just not aware of. We're not aware of it, because I tell you one thing. If we go to Walmart, or we go to Costco, or we go to Publix, and let's say we buy a carton of orange juice, and we look right there and the orange juice is $5. When we get to the register, ain't nobody gonna talk to the cashier saying, hey, I know it said $5, but can you give it to me for $4.25? Can you get? No, it's not a let's make a deal, because we just know that whatever you buy out of Publix or Walmart, once you get to the cashier, that's the price is the price. The cashier can't negotiate. You can't negotiate with them. So now we know if we go to the Bahamas or something and we got a little vendor and we want to buy a T-shirt, we want to get this instead of $10. We say, hey man, I give it to you for $8. Then we're accustomed to negotiating and bargaining, but we didn't know that we supposed to do that with our insurance companies when they come out and we say, man, we got to fire. Whatever they say, okay, 10,000. We figure that's what it is. Nobody told us that we supposed to hire you to say, no, I want 20,000. No one told us. Yeah. So you follow me? So this thing is big business, man. And the insurance companies know that we don't know that the claim is adjustable or the claim is negotiable. We don't know that, because we don't know. We never even heard 25 years ago, James and I never even heard of you being this side of the equation and the way the game really works. We just didn't know that.
Rob, and the thing about it is, Rob, when you quote unquote accept that check, you haven't even had a contractor to come in to assess the damage. Even if you didn't have a public adjuster, you wouldn't want to say, well, I accept $20,000 because I think that, I know Rob knows somebody who can come in and change that rug or what. No, you shouldn't do that. That's what, when Mr. Cooper comes in, as I said, he's not just going to look at the wet floor, or he's not going to look at the tile on the roof and say, okay, he is going to know what the cost for the repairs will be, and total repairs, not just what you see. Because like in our office, we had a little situation in the office. He said, "Oh no, James, you don't know what's behind that wall. Look at where you got your closet there. There may be mold. You need mold detection. You need all of that. These are people who know their craft, and that's why we wanted to have him on to say there's more to it than what we see, but there should not be more to it than what we know. We should find someone that does know, can see behind the walls, and can help us, so that when he helps us, hey Rob, then everybody else will do what we do. Oh, you got a problem? I had a friend on the West Coast, man. I can't tell you how many times that brother has called me, a classmate of mine, grew up in Jersey. When I sent him Mr. Cooper, he called me and said his son was in the house when the roof came off the house, Rob. Wow. Of course, his dad said, I'm going to a hotel. Son said he was staying home. He was in the closet in the house. The roof is off. And he just praises Mr. Cooper for what he did for him. So this is what we want to do. We want you to share the information. We want you, and Mr. Cooper, please, like I said, before we go off, post up your information as to how you can be reached. You can give it out as well, verbally, but how can someone reach your company or reach you to get information on either taking a look at their policies or when they feel they have need for help when there's damage?
My email is kcooperpa, KCOOPERPA, like Peter Apple, kcooperpa@gmail.com. Phone number is 754-581-5785. 3341. Residential properties, commercial properties, any property owner, if it's a condo, if it's an apartment building, if it's a residential home, everyone should make sure that they have insurance. And if you're renting the property, then the tenants need to have what they call renter's insurance also. So if something happens, they're covered and they don't start trying to come after the owner to say, hey, my personal property, my television, my couches, all those things have been damaged or destroyed. So you want to make sure, we just want to, like Rob says, we need to dot the I's and cross the T's. Before we get in the middle of it, we should do a little research. We should reach out to people that know and be receptive to saying, it's okay if I get someone to look at my policy. They come highly recommended. No one's taking advantage of anyone. Everyone's trying to help us to get educated. Maya Angelou said, we do the best we can until we know better. Then when we know better, we do better. So this is helping us know better. So now we should do better. We should have someone look at those policies, and we should call someone else and not just take, the insurance is a business. Obviously they are. And the adjusters that come out and they minimize your claim and they don't pay you as what you're entitled, they become supervisors, like you said. And the ones who come out and say, you know what? Here, I'm going to give you everything, hook, line, and sinker. That person's not going to stay there too long. But you want what you're entitled. That's the bottom line. Every homeowner is entitled to it, and we should get it. And if we have to fight for it, we should fight for it. We shouldn't just allow someone to come in and not give us what we're entitled. We pay a high premium for these things, and we're entitled to know the truth and get what we're entitled. Every homeowner deserves that.
Mr. Rob, back in the day, what he speaks about that renter's insurance, Rob, when he mentioned that to me, I paid for renter's insurance for some of my renters so that they would have coverage. And as a matter of fact, with property that we rent, that's an idea even for some of the renters. If you own property and there's whatever damage wherever the property may be, it may behoove the landlord to even participate with the renter to get renter's insurance. Because again, my renters, some of them didn't even know, oh, you can get renter's insurance? Yes, you can get renter's insurance. And now, go ahead, bro.
A move that I haven't heard of, and you kind of mentioned it, Mr. Cooper, is, you got a lot of people who paid off their homes. And the home owner's insurance, especially in South Florida, had just been jacked up. I mean, it's just crazy. But you kind of alluded to that a strategy, and I never even thought about this strategy. Here, if you have a homeowner and they just refuse to pay for homeowner insurance, they feel like they've been just robbed, it's just overpriced. You're saying that there's a possibility that a person can just get homeowners insurance or her insurance to cover them during the hurricane season. And then after the hurricane, you could just get rid of it. But then in November or right before December or even March or even April, then get a policy and have that from June to, hurricane season. And then after that, just get rid of it. I mean, are you saying that people are doing that? I think it's pretty slick, but I don't know.
Yes, homeowners do that. People that own their properties, they go out and buy homeowners insurance in April or May. Since hurricane season starts on June 1st, they buy it in April or May, and they pay you don't have to pay it all up front, but right. You make a deposit and you keep it through those 6 months. From June through October, you have homeowners insurance. After October is up, whatever you paid is prorated. If you pay too much, they give it back, but you're not going to pay too little. They're going to make sure you pay it like quarterly. Every 3 or 4 months, you're going to ask you to pay your premium. But yes, people do that. They buy homeowners insurance just through hurricane season. Just in case. Just like people play lottery. They don't think they're going to win, but just in case they get lucky, they play. Just in case a hurricane comes, you want to be covered.
That's a slick strategy, because they got a lot of elderly people say, man, my house paid for, I ain't paying for no homeowners insurance, but just in case, because we ain't had one in a while, but that don't mean we're not going to have one in the future. But if you go ahead and just say, I'm going to pay for 6 months, or I'm going to pay for 5 months, and then I'm going to drop this thing, that can be cost effective. You can save some money. You know what I mean? I actually like that strategy, especially if you have money to cover it, but you can help subsidize the risk. In other words, you can minimize the risk with the insurance company. Then after, come December or whatever, if you get a fire or whatever, that's a fire or something, that's something else. But if your main reason for having insurance because of a hurricane, I think that's a hell of a good strategy. You know what I mean?
We haven't had one yet on the southeast coast of Florida, but they've been having them on the West Coast every day and twice on Sundays, really. But they've had their share,
Miss
another thing. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. All right, James. Miss Vickers said, please repeat your number slowly.
7 5 4 5 8 1 3 3 4 1. I'm going to send you a picture of my car, Rob, and you could put it there if you want.
Yeah, and if anybody that can, Norvik or somebody out, post this so the rest of everybody else could get his number. Can y'all post this in the post? Say it again, Mr. Cooper. What's the number?
754 581 3341. And my email is kcooperpa@gmail.com. And I'm going to send you a picture of my car, Rob, and you could
the email is kcooperpa.com.
At gmail.com.
Yeah, at gmail.com. Okay.
Rob, and the one thing that people miss out on too is that even if you own your home, it doesn't have to be a hurricane. There can also be, and Mr. Cooper, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also wind damage, Robert. There's wind damage that happens. And we have thunderstorms. There's lightning. So that's why you would want to even get with Mr. Cooper to look at whatever policy you choose to get, if it's a short-term policy or whatever, because as he said, the hurricane doesn't have to come on the East Coast where we are. It can come on the West Coast, but we get wind damage. And sometimes it'll come from the Gulf and come straight through. So there's a lot to, and he has the experience to share with us what is best, as Mr. Henderson say, what is best for you, what your situation and what is best for you. So it would be great to call the Henderson Financial Group if you want to get more information, or call Mr. Cooper at the number that he gave. But it's important that you get the information so that, hey, the more you know, the better you are.
I never forget this story Mr. Cooper told me probably about 20 years ago. He said, when black people come home and they open the door and it's a flood in the house, they go, oh, Lord, they start getting sheets and towels and blankets trying to get the water up. He said, when white people come in and they see the flood in the house, they say, oh, honey, come on, let's go to the movies. I'll never forget that. You told me that.
You know what? If you understand policy, unfortunately, like one man's misfortune is another man's fortune. No one wants to see a hurricane, but if you take a developer, the roofers, the screen enclosure people, the people that remove garbage. Take, for example, during COVID, that was only one industry that wasn't upset about COVID. That was the morticians. They were happy. They got rich behind COVID. And that's just the business they're in. Unfortunately, if you're a roofer and a hurricane comes, that's great for your business. If you have a roll-off container or you have a trash company where you haul debris off, hurricanes are great for business. If you're screening, whatever industry you just,
you talked about that earlier.
You got to be thankful that you have a home, so you want to be able to protect your home. It's the biggest investment that people make. You want to be in great shape. You want to be able to live a long, fruitful life. But if your home is a great investment, so you should make sure you stay on top of it and get what you're entitled if you do have a claim. If you do have a loss, it's important to get what you're entitled, because you shouldn't have to take your 401k or income tax or your retirement or your pension to go put in a home that you have insurance coverage for when you pay for something, they should fix it for you. And you should make sure they fix it. You shouldn't have to take your own resources to go and pay for something that you've already made a executive decision to take care of. There are people that are 70, 80, 90 years old and they file a claim and they don't know an insurance company can tell them it's long-term seepage, wear, tear, neglect, or it's just not covered, or the damages don't exceed your deductible. That shouldn't happen.
Mr. Coop, I want to thank you, because like 25 years ago, I never even knew the job description or never even knew that it was a job as being a public adjuster. There's so many fields that a lot of people, especially a lot of people of color, we don't even know that there's different ways to serve people and help people and make a good living. I'm reminded of how when I first got a client it's an anesthetist. And when I say, oh my God, an anesthetist, what does he do? And I see how much money they make, and it's a nurse, and they one step under an anesthesiologist. And after I got that anesthetist, then I started getting, other anesthetists, and they make really good money. And there's a lot of people today that's never heard of that. It wasn't a lot of people of color never even knew that even exists, just like they never even knew that a public adjuster. It's so many different fields that people, especially people of color, don't even know that you can make a living and you can help people with. Now, let me ask you a question. 25 years ago, in the year 2000, you got into this field. How did you get into this field? What made you even come this way?
I'll tell you a story. What happened? It's not what you know, it's who you know. I used to have a pressure cleaning company. I
remember that. Yeah. I remember that because I'm sure you do.
I'm sure I pressure cleaned a couple of those apartments that you had back then, and I hated it. I hated it with a passion.
Oh, go tell a story.
That's one of the reasons I'm a public adjuster, because one of those apartment units, you're like, Coop, you got to go and pressure clean this. I'm like, well, I'll do it, Rob. And I got halfway through that, and I was done. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It was too hot. It was too long. And I was like, I'm not doing it. But long story short, I met a guy back in 2000. He had the largest public adjusting company in the Southeast United States. I used to pressure clean his home, his roof, his patio. Had a company that detailed cars. We pressure cleaned. We did a lot of things. And one day I got to know the guy a little bit. And one day a hurricane was kicking up out in the Gulf of Mexico. He goes, Kevin, what do you make with this pressure cleaning stuff? I just threw a number out there, and the guy told me, you know what? I'll pay you double if you come and work for me now. I didn't know what it was, but it sounded really interesting at the time. And at that point, I made a decision, went home and talked to the wife. And the next day, I was driving a Winnebago over to Fort Myers, moving a virtual office. And sometimes you got to have faith. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And time is everything. Sometimes you just got to be in the right place at the right time. And you got to be doing something responsible. And you can't just wait. Sometimes you just got to trust people. And I took a chance and I stepped out on faith and says, listen, if it's legal, I'll try anything once. I'm not just going to go and do anything, but I decided I'd consider it. And since then, I've been all in, and that's what I've done for the past 25 years. Just met a guy who was a public adjuster, and he explained to me in a nutshell, hey, it's a great industry. If you could do it. And no one wants to reinvent themselves, but sometimes we have to. Sometimes we have to. Typically, the more you learn, the more you earn. And you want to work smarter, not harder. So I went from pressure cleaning, roofs, patios, driveways, to adjusting claims. And I'm so thankful and grateful for it. And meeting people like you and James that have referred me over the years, and I refer you guys. And it's a great, responsible, it's pleasing when you can help someone, when someone tells them you get no money or very little money, and you could go and help them to get what they're entitled from the insurance company. So I think God honors that, and we honor it as people. And it's really helpful. It's a great industry to be able to help people, to point them in the right direction, even just to look at their policies and say, hey, you should move this or that, or to say, you know what, you should have filed the claim then, but you didn't. But now you have an opportunity. You've learned, you've been educated. Next time you'll know. So sometimes you can't help everybody all the time, but you help people sometimes.
Did you need a college degree or anything to?
No, there's a 40-hour course you take with the state, and you got to do a 1-year apprenticeship where you work for a public adjuster for a year, and you're an apprentice for a year, but you learn the ropes and you learn what are good claims and not so good claims, and you educate people and you help people to learn. So when there's a flood claim, a hail claim, when people roofs are damaged and cracked and they don't know that they should get a roofer up there to assess it. Maybe when you have the hail storm today, maybe the roof is not leaking today, but in 2 weeks, when we start getting these rains in the summer, when it rains every evening, then you're going to get a roof leak 2-3 weeks later or a month later, but at least you know why you got it. Roofs just don't go bad in one day. It takes time, so there's wear and tear. So after 20, 30 years, you need a new roof anyways. No one's going to insure a roof and give you a warranty for 20 years. But if you have an opportunity to file a claim and something's damaged, or if it's a hailstorm or hurricane or a tornado or whatever it is, you pay for that. You should try to get that. That's what you're entitled. You shouldn't wait till someone just comes out and says, you know what? It's long-term, seepage, wear and tear. It's a maintenance issue. You just got to replace it. Or we're not going to, when you buy a home, sometimes they send an insurance company and they do an assessment. And they say, well, if you don't get a new roof on your house, we can't insure you. And the homeowners panic and they go, well, I want insurance. So now they got to go take 20, 30 grand and buy a new roof when they could have assessed that loss, filed a claim, and got a new roof through the insurance company. It's a no-brainer. If you have an opportunity to use the insurance that you pay for, to take advantage of it. You shouldn't have to pay for something that you have insurance for already.
So if someone watching this program and listening to you and they've gotten enlightenment, and they have a son or a daughter that they feel that, don't know exactly what direction they want to go or career they want to go in, they can call you. And even if they retired and they want to, they tired of working for the man or whatever, and they want to get into this field, they can call that number, because Norvik and Carol has put your telephone number in the chat post, and Norvik even put your email there, so you'll be open to anyone that wants to learn.
Of course, if I could help someone get their foot in the door in the industry, and they wanted to learn about public adjusting and they want to become I do everything I can to help people. That's what we do. We always pay it forward. James does that. Amen. You do that. I know that. And that's part of us being who we are. That's how we've been friends for so long, because we look out for each other and we help each other. For years, long enough, we heard about how we don't do that. But then you meet people in life. It's wisdom, it's knowledge, where you pull them up. You're not standing on their shoulder while you're holding their arm, but you're really genuinely, sincerely trying to help people have a better quality of life. And that's what it's all about.
And this information you're talking about, it's nationwide, right? I mean, it's in every state.
Yeah, some states don't have public adjusters, but you may have to hire a contractor to give you an estimate. And some states do. So it depends on where you live. You could do a little research, but most states do have public adjusters, and it's not all hurricanes. Some of them is hail. Some of them is tornado. California is mostly the fires, or it depends on what state you're in, what you want to learn more about or get into. But yeah, most states do have public adjusters, and doesn't matter where you are, you'd want to get into an industry that you can help people in. The same as nurses and doctors or firemen. Those are good industries. But yeah, young people it's like discipline. If I could tell all young kids what's the most important word, the thing you could do is just learn some discipline. And the sooner you learn it, the better off you are. The sooner you understand like what's important or what do you want to do as a career, the sooner you learn about it and you make up your mind that you want to do that, then you could work towards becoming that. Because everyone doesn't decide at 16 or 17 what they want to be. But some people do. At 18, 19, they already know they're going to be dentists, doctors, CPAs, DJs, whatever it is they want to be. No one thought about that years ago.
Too many kids that deciding at 16, 17, they want to be NBA, NFL.
Or either they want to have a podcast, or they want to, they want to go some YouTube or social media thing and get rich with that. But, people, you have to work hard. No matter what industry you're in, if you want to be good at it, you got to apply yourself. You got to get into it, Rob. I remember when you started, you were like, you know what? I love this. I want to do this. And I can't tell you the days that you were pulling the hair out we used to have, taking these tests to say, hey, I got to pass this test. Now you got people that work with you every day, Antonio and Tavares and your family members that you brought along, and they've seen that industry and they love it because of you. Same thing with you, James. You know, it's beautiful when you know people that want to help and that are genuine and sincere. You don't see it every day.
No, you don't.
Sometimes it takes a long time to meet a friend, 5 years, 10. You never know. But when you do meet them, it's so refreshing.
Like gold.
25 and 30 is good. I think 25 with you and 30 plus with Rob.
Yeah.
So I got some arms I can lean on.
Yeah, it's a blessing, man.
All that, man, like we going to church right now, man. We got to pray.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey,
giving thanks. Boy.
I'm gonna use my brother's message in our chat today. His name is John Davis. He's out in Oklahoma, and my friend Joe Bullitt says there's no thunder in OKC, but they'll be there tomorrow, hopefully. You know. But here we go. Join us in praying, folks. Lord, help us to dwell on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, let us think about such things. May our thoughts reflect your light and lead us in peace and unity. From the scripture of Philippians 4:8, it says, quote, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Father God, Lord Jesus, Holy Spirit, we thank you for this day. And we pray that we have been a blessing to others, for we truly do know you will send a blessing to us if it can go through us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Let the church say amen. Mr. Cooper, thank you so much for joining in and sharing this wisdom and this knowledge, brother. Thank you so much. We love you. We want to continue God's grace upon you. You've done a real good job. You serve really well, brother. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you and James also both for having me on. It's an honor and a privilege.
All right. Much love.
All right, y'all take care. Hey, listen, same time, same station. Next week, y'all will be back with some more information that you could use. And really, I want you all to actually make sure that you take Mr. Cooper's name down and put it on in your contacts where you can call him. He's a friend. He's a friend of us, friend of the family. All right. Y'all take care. Be safe and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Peace and love and happiness. If how they say so. All right, let me get out of here.